Today we will be testing to see which of 3 brands of paper towels holds the most water or is able to absorb the most water. In order to do that, we are going to be taking a strip of paper towel, putting it in a beaker with some water, letting it absorb as much water as it can, taking the water out, and then measuring how much water is left in the beaker. Okay, a couple things to note. We have a couple constants throughout our experiment that I want to point out to you. To make this a little bit easier, I have cut the sheets of paper towels into similar sized rectangles. So that is one constant. They are all approximately, or should be very close to the same size. That way we can't say, well, one of them absorbed more because it is bigger than the others, okay? Also, each beaker is going to be filled with 25 milliliters of water. I've already poured that in the graduated cylinders here. All right, and then the 3 brands we're going to be testing today are Great Value, which if you're not familiar with that one is the Walmart brand. And we've got Bounty and Viva, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pour my water into each one. All right, I'm going to take one sheet of the paper towel and set it in there and kind of let it get going. All right, for time's sake, I am going to kind of push these down just so it absorbs on the paper towel a little bit faster. Okay, I'm going to make sure all the parts have an opportunity to absorb water. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to pull out the paper towels. I'm going to give a few seconds to drip off any of the excess because if there is excess on there, obviously it didn't get absorbed. All right, I'm not talking a long time because I don't want gravity to take hold and pull the water out. I'm talking maybe 7-8 seconds just for that initial excess that's hanging on to fall off. And then we'll measure. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the amount of water that is left in my beaker. Now remember, each one started with 25 milliliters that I measured in my cylinder here. I'm using my graduated cylinder because each of these little lines represents 1 milliliter, whereas on my beaker, even though it has numbers on here, it's only measured in 25 milliliters, so we wouldn't be able to get very exact with our measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and measure my Great Value first. Okay, I want to make sure I get down on eye level so I can really see where the water is hitting. All right, so it is sitting at about 23 milliliters. So in order to figure out how much water was actually absorbed, I'm going to subtract 23 from what I started with, 25, and that'll give me how many milliliters are still in that paper towel. So that's what the paper towel absorbed. So Great Value absorbed 2 milliliters at first. I'm going to fill that in on my chart here. Okay, make sure we include our measurement unit there. All right, next for Bounty. Again, making sure I get down eye level so I can read it correctly. This one is reading at about 18.5. Okay, so that is going to give me 6.5 milliliters. All right, last but not least, Viva. This one is measuring right at 19, so that is 6 milliliters. All right, like any good experiment, or like you should do with any good experiment, you want to do multiple trials. So we're going to do a second round just to make sure we didn't get any crazy numbers, that all of our numbers seem similar. Let me wipe up my excess water here. All right, so I'm going to take these back up to 25. There we go. Ooh, too much. Sorry, sometimes this takes a little while to get it exact, but you want to make sure it is exact, so that way your data is correct. Here we go. First try. Okay, so we're going to repeat by adding our paper towels in there. Okay. Again, I'm going to push down, make sure everything has a good shot at absorbing. Go down. All right. So same thing, gonna give it a few seconds to drain the excess off. Okay, I'm also counting in my head, so I am keeping it even. So that is also going to be a constant, is the amount of time that the excess water was allowed to drain off. Right, I was counting to 8 each time. So now we're back to measuring. Okay. So we're actually at 22.5 this time. So that is a difference of 2.5 mLs. I'm done with that. So I'm going to relax this time. We're on 18 this time, so that is 7 mLs. All right, and last but not least, our Viva. That is at 18.5. So 6.5. All right, so now I'm going to take the averages of these numbers. Actually, I'm going to pause real quick and move the computer up a little bit closer. All right, so I do want to figure out the averages for each of these. So great value is going to be 2.25 milliliters. My bounty is going to be 6.75 milliliters, and then 6.25 milliliters for my Viva. All right, so now I want to graph my information. First thing I'm going to do is title my graph. So I'm just going to do something very simple like absorbability of paper towel brands. All right, this is a title, so make sure your capitalization is correct. Okay, it should be properly capitalized, being a title. Next, I need to label my axes. So I need to think to myself, which one of these is my dependent variable and which one is my independent variable. Personally, I find it easier to determine which one is my dependent variable. So that's the way my brain works. So that's the way we're going to do it. So your dependent are pretty much your results. It's what you're measuring. It's what changes based on the other variable. Okay, so in this case, the amount of water versus the brand of paper towel. Okay, my amount of water is my measurable result, right? That's what I'm looking to see what's changing. So that is my dependent variable. Your dependent variables go on your y-axis. Okay. Always make sure to include your unit of measure. All right, and my numbers range from 2 to 7. So we want to make sure we at least get up to 7. I'm going to count by ones, but I'm going to skip a line just to make sure it's nice and spaced out and I have plenty of room. Okay. So if this is my dependent, I know my independent variable is the brand of paper towel. I'm going to write that at the bottom. All right, I'm also going to use my abbreviations to put my paper towels down here. So great value, bounty, and Viva. All right. So I want to create a bar graph. Okay, that's going to be probably the easiest way to compare my results between these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my legend. I need another color. There we go. All right, so we're going to do trial 1 in light blue. Trial number 2. And all right, so we're going to start with great value. I'm going to go ahead and graph all of those together at the same time. So trial number 1 is 2. I'm just going to color in my boxes. When you're doing it on paper, go ahead and create your full bar and color the whole thing in. It's just I'm trying to preserve my graph here so it doesn't end up accidentally getting erased. Okay, trial number 2, 2.5. And then number 3 is 2.25. I just want to see all of my numbers on here so that way I can have a very quick glance at what I'm looking at. All right, Bounty 6.5 is my first one. Okay, 7 is my second one. Okay, so then 6.75 is my average. All right, last but not least, I want to do my Viva. So we're going to start with 6. Then 6.5. And last but not least, my average is going to be 6.25. All right, so at this point, we should be able to quickly look at the graph. I know a bit of a glare on there right now, but we should be able to look and see that our Bounty tested a little bit more than our Viva. So our results show that Bounty is the quicker picker-upper and actually did absorb the most water. So hopefully that helps with that.